So this past week on my social media, I talked with a number of people that tell me they're afraid to get started in their business because they're afraid of getting stolen from or attacked in their business, or getting comments from people that are judging them, that are going to come against them, and they just don't want to navigate that. And so it's actually better for them to make sure that they have all the pieces in order and everything's perfect before they even get started. Now, I want to give this advice. Make sure that you have legal help, and don't feel guilty for getting legal help and running things through contracts. But when we allow our fear of what might happen to keep us from even looking into the first steps, this is often what I see. People are afraid to even explore getting started. They're afraid to even look into what those first steps are because of what they're worried might happen. Maybe they've experienced or seen a friend or family member experience. And what happens is we end up repeating patterns of our past in areas where we've been hurt before or seen other people get hurt, and this empowers that. And so what I found is oftentimes I have to just forgive those past situations, give it to God. In my past, I used to experience a lot where I would get attacked or even stolen from, probably about 5-6 years ago. This was a very common thing that I couldn't understand the pattern. I would have people just constantly stealing from me and saying things, and it didn't stop until I started declaring that God is my protector, that God protects me, that I'm no longer worried about all of this negative stuff happening. And what this does is wherever we put our focus, we end up getting more of. If we're putting our focus so much on, I'm afraid of getting attacked, I'm afraid of getting stolen from, I'm afraid of all of this stuff happening, we end up empowering that, and we're attracted to situations that we're going to get into to repeat those patterns of our past. Listen, I'm not talking about being stupid and being unwise here. I'm talking about trusting God, giving it up, saying, you know what, I'm going to control the things that I can control, like getting legal help. I'm going to control what I can control, like making sure that I do my due diligence. I'm going to make sure that I pay attention to patterns and red flags, but I'm not going to let the fear and worry of what I've seen other people experience or possibly have experienced in my past in other situations, especially if you've come out of corporate America or jobs where people are judgmental against each other, pushing people down to try to control people and making you feel threatened in those situations. We can go into business thinking that that's going to be a repeated pattern. And oftentimes I see this happen with people that I'm coaching. We become afraid of what might happen and are afraid to take the steps and to learn how we can make sure that things go well for us and grow as a business owner. And so I want to encourage you in this is we have to stop focusing so much on, I'm so afraid of XYZ happening. Get help, get legal help. Make sure you run things through contracts. Don't be afraid of having a contract. Sometimes people might even guilt you into saying, really, you think I should sign a contract because you don't trust me? That's a red flag. It's not a threat or a negative thing to sign contracts with people. It's not a bad thing to protect yourself with legal help. But what isn't helping us is when we constantly are operating in this fear and worry of what might happen, and we don't explore and get help and find mentors to help us in these different areas. I was talking to a lady the other day. She was afraid to even get started to open a bank account and post anything on social media about a business because she was worried that her whole business was going to get stolen. She didn't even want to start the process of growing because of that fear. And I know that that's a very real fear that people experience, that they go through. And many times this can come through these past experiences that we've had, that we haven't made peace with. And maybe we've also even seen things happen, and we don't want that to happen with us. Business is taking a risk. You can't control what other people are going to say or do. It's not possible to control other people. What you can control is yourself, where you put your focus, where you put your emotions, and making sure that you do your due diligence, make sure that you set yourself up for success. I'm not a lawyer, but talk with a lawyer, talk with somebody that can give you legal advice, give you legal help you protect yourself in those areas so that you don't have to worry about experiencing things. And here's another truth is, things are going to happen. When we go into business, we have to make peace with the fact that we cannot control everybody. There are going to be people out there that you can't prepare for or plan for, but you can prepare for by maybe putting aside some money, by having legal help, by having this stuff out there. If we're so afraid of even starting because we're worried what might potentially happen, we're giving power to our fear and to those other people to control our lives and to dictate our destiny. It's time to stop giving the future of your life up to the people in your past that you've been worried of, or potential people in your future that you think might cause you problems. Start to put stuff out there, take a risk, and walk in faith in these areas. Every time I make a video, there's a risk of something. Every time I make a piece of content, every time I put a product out there, every time we do anything, there's always a risk. But when we can trust God to protect us, get help from other people around us, wise counsel, mentors, people that have been there, done that before, and bought the subscription and know how to fix things, know how to handle things, getting advice from people that are wise in these areas that have experienced what we have before, we can have confidence in moving forward. And I know still even saying this, some people watching this, you still won't have confidence. And oftentimes this comes from just a repeated pattern of things throughout our life where nothing has ever worked out for us, where nothing has ever worked in that way. And these are areas where sometimes if we can get some help, some counseling, maybe a therapist, there's a lot of good books out there on things like this, forgiving situations, forgiving ourselves for mistakes that we've made, forgiving ourselves from trusting people that we shouldn't have, forgiving other people that maybe we trusted, so that we can step forward and start to walk boldly and confidently in the direction of where we are going. I'm not recommending that you do anything stupid. I'm not recommending that you don't get legal help. I'm not recommending that you don't protect yourself. I am recommending, though, don't put all of your mental focus on what could possibly go wrong. That focus distracts us from taking action, powerful action, that will help us reach our goals in the future. Okay? And if you need help with this, this is an area that I coach with a lot of people within business to empower them to take the right actions, to help give them a strategy to take action. And if you want to talk with me on the phone for 15 minutes, you can schedule a free call with me on my website. Go to jeremiahkrakowski.com/free call, and I'd love to talk with you. Grow your life, everybody, and we'll talk.